All right, so good morning, and let's get started. So we're just going to start sitting in Sukhasana, the crossed legs, and we'll have a couple blocks. Ah, all right, making your way onto your mat, and making your way into your body. Maybe a little squinging as we lengthen up from behind. Ah, and then once you've got things kind of squinged out, letting the hands come to rest on your knees. Big inhale, nice long exhale. Settling a little bit more deeply into yourself. Feeling like you're both resting against the wall behind you. And then at the same time, a little lengthen up the wall behind you. A little lengthen down into the earth as well. You can soften or close the eyes. And feeling your breath. Taking a few breaths, just being with whatever is. And then perhaps smoothing things out, slowing things down. And then we will reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing the arms up, breathing the arms down. Then we'll add the cactus pull, breathing the arms up, pulling the elbows wide. Feel like you're pressing the outer edge of the lower arms toward the opposite walls. Lengthening back up and bringing the arms all the way down. So let's do that twice more. Breathing up, not quite so lingering in the cactus, pulling the arms down and wide, extending back up, pressing down. And then once more. And we will change the cross of the legs. Coming forward and over, breathing into the back of the body. And then let's walk the hands over to the right diagonal. So we're only going to go to the right diagonal, not all the way through the inside outside twist. And then through the center, over to the left diagonal. And back to the center. And then coming up, unfurling vertebrae by vertebrae, back up on top of the sitting bones. And inhale and exhale. Settling into this shape again. And then let's come around onto all fours. And finding a neutral spine, drawing the belly and the ribs up. At the same time, lengthening out. And carefully placing those hands just like you were doing the plank or downward facing dog. And then we'll extend our left leg back with the toes tucked under, pressing back into the left heel, stretching down the back of the left leg. And then optional lifting that right thigh up in the hover plank to make the left leg stretch longer. And then we will switch legs. And extending the right leg back, pressing into the right heel. And then optional lifting the left thigh up in the hover plank. Long line from the top of the head out the right heel, from the left knee out the right heel. And setting the left knee back down, taking a nice long pull back in child's pose. And then let's come up in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Walking the dog or anything else you want to do here. And then finishing up with whatever you're doing, being in the best downward facing dog of this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And we'll lengthen forward to the plank. And then we're going to flow ourselves into a kneeling up dog, pulling forward and up, letting the knees touch down. And then maybe a little more lift and width across the upper back. And option to bend the knees here. Don't let your hips hike up. Squeezing the upper back and the heels toward each other. And then extending those legs back out to straight. Little cat and cow ripple. And then we'll take a pull back into child's pose again. And then unfurling the spine, calming up and simplified Virasana, sitting on the heels. Or maybe with the toes tucked under, or maybe reaching forward with the hands for some support as needed. Pulling a little up and back through the top of the head, sliding up the wall behind you, flattening into the wall behind you. And let's breathe the arms up, and we'll do the interlocked fingers, giving the elbows a pull, pressing up, rounding down. And then if you can, keeping the arms here, we're going to sit off onto the right hip, but if you need to, releasing the hands to the floor to help you. A little lift up, sitting off onto the right hip, and then bringing the arms down, opening that left leg out into Baddha Konasana. Standing on the soles of the feet, pulling the knees wide, long through the top of the head. Let's come forward, pressing down and out with the elbows. And calming up, reassemble ourselves back up into simplified Virasana. And let's come back up in downward facing dog. We'll yawn for the back of our knees before we do the left side. And then let's go through that version of the vinyasa again. Coming forward to the plank. And swooping into upward facing dog and letting the knees touch down. But can you do all this without sagging into it? Still lifting up the front of the body, maybe bending the knees. We press through the knuckles and fingertips of the hands. And extending the legs out. A little cat-cow ripple. Pulling back into child's pose. And coming up in simplified Virasana. And let's breathe the arms up to interlock the fingers, giving them a pull. Pressing up, grounding down, a little feeling of flattening back. And maybe starting out from the lifted arms and bringing them down as we take a little lift up, sitting onto the left hip. And then bringing the arms wide as you open that right leg into Supta, or into Baddha Konasana, not Supta. And holding on to the ankles or shins, really lengthening up through the top of the head. Coming forward and over, pressing down and out with the elbows. And up. Coming back to simplified Virasana. And then back up to downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up. Reaching long through the heel, reaching down through the left heel, being patient with those legs. We haven't done a lot of hamstring extending yet. Bending the right knee, dog with the high fire hydrants. And through to the lunge. And really pressing through the left heel for a moment, and then easing that left knee down, coming up in the Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. Then let's go to the twist, reaching the arms wide and parallel to the floor, hooking the left arm across the right leg, stretch and twist a little more, hands around to Namaste. And Namaste in the center. And then we'll hinge back, maybe getting your blocks here as we flex that right foot, pulling up through the right leg, back through the sitting bones. And then reaching through the right foot, coming forward to the lunge, and we will step forward. Reaching down through the feet into the floor, holding up through the legs. And then concave back halfway up. And pouring over. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down, long through the top of the head. And let's circle the shoulders to interlock the fingers, lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming forward and over. Counterbalancing, pressing out through the backs of the hands. And releasing the hands. And a little concave back. Holding over. through the vinyasa or not. So I'm going to do the or not today. Go right to downward facing dog. And then here we all are in downward facing dog. Let's lift our left leg up. Breathing up the back of the right leg. Bending the left knee, dog at the high fire hydrant. And through to the lunge. Taking a moment, really lengthening out through that right heel, and then bringing the knee down with strength to come up in and join us. Then we'll twist to the left, passing through the parallel to the floor, hooking the arm over, bringing the left around to Namaste. And Namaste in the center, hinging back, flexing the left toes, pulling the front of the left thigh up and back, reaching a little forward through the top of the head. And then coming forward to the lunge, to step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up, folding over. All the way up to standing, big front body yawn. And pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. And let's circle the shoulders to interlock the fingers. Lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming forward and then keeping the fingers interlocked, we'll bend the knees into the skier, kind of like a chair pose, but with a hyper extended lower back as much as you can. And then releasing the hands, and we'll come forward to Utkatasana, flattening out the spine a little bit, reaching more on an up diagonal through the upper body. And releasing over. Big breath. Concave back, folding over, stepping back with the left leg. And then you can come up in either the high lunge or the warrior one with your back heel grounded down. Coming up, front to back lunge. Breathing around in that circle of breath. And then we'll do the circle of arms all the way around and back up overhead. And Namaste in front. Namaste into the floor, stepping forward. Into the concave back, folding over. And then we'll step back with the right leg, going up in either the high lunge or the warrior one. So once you come up, feel a little down again, heavy left sitting bone, pulling wide inner thigh to inner thigh. You're breathing those arms around with the circle of breath. And Namaste. Namaste into the floor. Stepping forward into the concave back, pouring over. And then we will make our way to downward facing dog through the vinyasa or not. All right, let's lift our right leg up. Reaching long between both legs, hopefully a little more space now. Bending the right knee dog with the high fire hydrant. We're going to hover plank to the shin lunge. And hover plank right knee forward. Hold a couple breaths if you can. And then sliding out on the shin. And pressing back through that left leg as you bring that right sitting bone down as much as it'll go. And let's sit off onto the right hip into the half dragon fly. One long leg, one short leg, coming forward in between the two legs. And come down. And we'll go to Parvrita Janushirasana. Let's twist to the right toward our bent leg, front of the mat leg. Putting the left hand onto the left leg. Keep that right twisting action as we reach out through the right arm on a diagonal. Reach it up to the ceiling, lots of space, and then up and over, side bending to the left. One more deep breath. And then we'll retrieve that left leg and coming up onto our feet into a forward bend. If it didn't end up exactly at the front of the mat, that's fine, wherever you are. And then let's come all the way up to standing, big front body yawn. And as we come forward, let's bring the hands and pour down the center line. So bringing the hands together in a namaste as we come forward and we pour down through the center line into the floor. We haven't done that way in a while, so let's do that again. Coming back up, big front body yawn. And then starting forward, bringing the hands together, letting the elbows bend as we pour ourselves over into the forward. And then concave back, folding over through the vinyasa. So just expanding to the plank from wherever you are, however you need to. And then there we all are in downward facing dog. And let's lift the left leg. And bending the left knee, dog at the high fire hydrant. And hover plank, left knee forward, maybe holding a few breaths if you can. And then sliding out along the left shin, pressing back through the right heel. Easing that left sitting bone closer to the left heel, at the same time trying to keep that right leg long and extended. And then sitting off onto the left hip into the half dragonfly. Left leg bent, right leg straight. And coming forward between the two legs. And calm down. And let's twist to the left. Inhale and exhale. And right hand onto the right leg, keeping those twisting actions and don't be in a rush. Reaching on the diagonal with the left, let's have a twist open left for a moment. Reaching up to the ceiling, lifting up, and then coming over the right leg. Over to Janu Shirsasana. It's sort of a variation of it, because here we're thinking bend sideways over the right leg. If we were doing the yoga pose version, we would be thinking that our right leg was our front leg, that facing out that right foot was the front, and we were twisting up to the left from underneath. One more deep breath. So maybe thinking in those different spatial terms doesn't make much difference to you. It actually makes a lot of difference to me, which is why I find it interesting. All right, let's assemble our right leg to our left, coming up into the forward bend. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And we'll pour down through the center line again. Hands coming to Namaste, pouring over. And concave back, folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. Remember, you can take a few moments in child's pose at any time. And then let's lift our right leg up. Dog at the high fire hydrants. Maybe 3 hover planks or a number of your choice. Inhale and exhale. Inhale to lift. A little outside the realm of gentle to do this, but maybe you want to do it. And then we'll be going through to the lunge, to the warrior number 2. Checking the alignment of that right knee. And then we'll dancing warrior, bringing the right arm up and away. And into the side angle, Parsva Konasana, big reach out. Maybe keeping that left arm out from the shoulder, bringing it over the ear. And then we'll just take a big reach around with the left arm. Turning to the lunge. Stepping back to the plank through the vinyasa or not. Downward facing dog. Or the version of the vinyasa too would be that one where we just oozed into the kneeling up dog. And then here we are, downward facing dog. And then we'll just do that on the left, lifting the left leg up. And maybe 3 hover planks. Inhale and exhale. 1 and 2 and 3. And then to the warrior number 2. On the left. Making sure everything arrived. And then as we hold, we have to periodically kind of do a little scan through the body, making sure it's staying because things kind of sometimes after we're holding. Inhale and exhale. And dancing warrior, bringing that left arm up and away. And into the side angle, big long reach out. Maybe the right arm stays up from the shoulder, maybe coming over here. Reaching long. And a big reach around with the right arm. Turning to the lunge. Stepping back to the plank. And this time we're going to finish our vinyasa on our belly on the floor. So whatever version you want to use, I'm going to Asta Namaste, knees, chest, chin. If you want to come along with me into the small cobra. Well, I hope you weren't looking at your screen. I think I did that rather badly. And then pulling the elbows back, top of the head forward. 3 small cobras. And just keeping the arms in the cobra position, but keeping them active here, a little squeezing in, elbows back. We're going to try lifting just the legs. So keep the nose just like half an inch above the floor. Reach through the toes, lift the legs. Take a deep breath, reaching down. Then we'll do that twice more with the legs. Reach and lift, deepen, reaching the legs down. And then once more, reach and lift, deepen, and bringing the legs down. Oh, all right, I guess we guessed Salabhasana now. Interlock the fingers, rolling the arms out, and then lengthen to lift, whatever there is. Slowly release the hands, palms face the ceiling. And coming down. And we'll make our way back to downward facing dog. Maybe taking a few cats and cows along the way. And here we are, downward facing dog. All right, let's lift our right leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. Through to the lunge. And let's go to the warrior number 2 once again. And checking that alignment. And then we're going to walk back and forth from the dancing warrior to the side angle. Inhale and exhale, dancing warrior. Inhale and exhale, side angle. So maybe doing that 4 more times, or number of your choice. So you can bring that right hand all the way to the floor in the side angle and make it bigger, or just on the knee, making it smaller as I'm doing today. I think this is the 4th one again. If you're doing smaller, maybe you want to do 1 more. If you're doing bigger, maybe the 4 more was good enough. And then we'll all finish in the side angle, maybe deepening it if you didn't before. Sliding that right arm down the right leg toward the floor. And then a big reach around with the left arm. And we're going to turn to the wide leg forward and turning the feet to parallel. Vajrayana Padottanasana. And then we will turn back to the right lunge, to the front of the mat. Stepping back. through a vinyasa or not, and then around on the left. All right, lifting the left leg up, bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrants, and through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 2 on the left. Checking that alignment, checking in with your breath. All right, here we go. Inhale and exhale, dancing warrior. Inhale and exhale, side angle. So somewhere between 4 and 5 more times, or whatever number you did. Or you don't have to be on my timing. I think we all know that. I've lost count. Well, we'll finish soon if you haven't already and meet up in the side angle. Maybe taking your side angle deeper, reaching down with the left arm, possibly going the other way, bringing it up higher if you're a little weary. Nice long reach along the right side. And then reaching around with the right arm and into Prakarita Padottanasana, wide apart feet pose. And then turning to the left lunge. And through the vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And here we are in this best downward facing dog of this moment. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And then coming up, unfurling the spine. Here we are in simplified Virasana. And then let's see if we can do some Supta Virasana. You can always do something different. That's where we're going to lean back with a little feeling of the tailbone tucking forward. Another option here is to sit on the block, putting the block the long way. So it's the inner edges of the feet are holding onto the block and your sitting bones are nice and solid and going back from there. And so we don't want to just go back with the spine. Lean back, tuck that tailbone a little forward and under. And then making your way back as you can. Or you could come onto your belly and bend one leg and pull the knee to the heel. Or maybe just sitting in Virasana is enough. Meanwhile, in the traditional yoga pose version, you're wanting to keep the legs right together, straight down from the hips, but it's not bad for you if those knees slide apart a little. What we don't want is the shins sliding apart. And you want to keep feeling that tailbone tuck going down the back of the body there, and a little drawing up the front. Maybe you can get all the way to the floor. And similarly, like I just came to the floor on the block and my knees came up, as long as this is not hurting your knees and it's not too agonizing on the tops of your feet, which it might be. The knees coming up is all right too. And then you can reach through the knees, drawing them away, reaching them a little bit back toward the floor. And so breathing here, wherever here is for you. Oh, and another option, maybe you already thought of this one, is you could do the block under the sacrum you do. That's not going to stretch the quadriceps quite as much as the bent knee version, but that's another option. And here we are, wherever that is, as I said before. All right, now, if you've gone all the way down to the floor, you have the challenge of getting back up from the floor. All right, and then we will take those legs straight out of the front in Dandasana. Oh, thank goodness. Opening up the backs of the knees along the floor. Coming forward, so being patient, moving slowly. We're now going in a pretty opposite direction for our body than we were just doing. Pulling yourself down to the floor. Maybe you're ready just to arrive here in Shavasana, or perhaps being tangled in your hair. Maybe one more thing, maybe a knees to the side, or my favorite, figure four. So if you want to figure four along with me, here we go. Crossing the right leg over, reaching through the triangle, pulling that. So if you're doing the figure four, something else one-sided, switching legs. And letting the right leg down, and then we will all make our way to Shavasana. Inhale and exhale. And then breathing back into your body, into the room. Moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going. And stretching the arms up overhead. And we'll gently make our way up to sitting, bending knees, making your way up. And sitting in any comfortable position with the long and straight. Taking another moment, sitting quietly inside yourself. And namaste. Thank you for coming.